Hey guys, welcome to a review of a video game. I haven't done one of those in a while, and I wanted to kind of talk more about Doom: The Dark Ages because I finished it on Friday. At the time of this recording, it is Saturday, May the 17th, 2025. So if you're a time traveler, welcome. Sure, you're here tired of hearing me say that joke. But let's dig into Doom: The Dark Ages. For starters, I wanna clarify one thing before we get started. Is that I'm not bitching about the game. I'm not bashing it because I hate it and it's horrible and it's terrible. That's not the case. I want it to be better moving forward when it comes to ID Tech. I know full well they can do great stuff, and this is a decent enough outing for the Doom series, but personally, I don't think in comparison to its predecessors, I don't think it's as good. I don't think it holds a candle to our last outing when it came to Doom Eternal. Doom Eternal was amazing, and we'll get into those reasons. I'm not just going to state that for no reason, but I do want to clarify that it's going to feel like I'm kind of dogging on this game for a lot, and I don't want that to be the case. I will be giving it a relatively lowish score, but like in comparison, and I'll clarify this at the very end of the video, but in comparison to what is on the market, it's definitely better than the average game that you have access to, especially in the first-person genre. But in comparison to itself as a franchise, it's a pretty, shady outing for Doom. So we'll get into that. I don't want people to be like, fuck you because you can't agree with some of these things. I think these things need to be addressed because if we want Doom to get better, if we want things to do better, we, as the fans, need to talk out about certain stuff and say, hey, you know what? I didn't enjoy that as much. Here's why. And things get changed. And I do know that Bethesda and ID Tech definitely listen to stuff like this. So hopefully we can let this blow up. And that's your cue to like, subscribe, and share this video. Let it get seen by a ton of people. And hopefully all the Doom fanatics will come out and either have a good conversation or tell me to kill myself. So it's one or the other. So Doom: The Dark Ages, I think the elephant in the room is it is pretty short. At staggering 22 chapters, it seems a lot more lengthy than the Doom Eternal and Doom 2016, the reboot. But yeah, no, you can pretty much rush through this game in like under 14 to 20 hours. It's not exactly ideal, especially when you're paying a price point of at least $80 or $79.99, and then upwards to $100 to $109 depending on which edition you got, and especially if you've gone for collector's editions, you're spending $150, $175 for some of these editions, and those, and then there's tons of productivities, mouse pads, buying the helmet if you want that. But that's a whole different topic. That's not part of this. But it's, again, if games are going to start costing $80, $80 plus dollars, especially with Nintendo kind of kicking things off, and now we have Microsoft following behind with their exclusives, which, again, they bought out Bethesda, so everything that Bethesda produces from here on out is technically an Xbox exclusive under the umbrella, even though Doom is universal and is on everything. Thought I should point that out. But the price right now for gamers is just, it's not worth it. If people catch wind, hey, Doom is, I could beat this game in under 14 hours or 20 hours, that's 2-3 days at most for most people that are, dedicated and are actually playing these games. 2 to 3 days is not worth $80. It never will be. Unless it's a game you can constantly come back in. Well, newsflash, there is no multiplayer mode. There is no battle mode. There is none of that creative weird stuff they did with Eternal and or 2016. And, I mean, there's still fragging going on in Doom and Doom 2 and Doom 64. I believe you could still do, like, a couch co-op. This game's got none of that. It's a glorified, overproduced, story game at that. Speaking of the story, and this isn't me trying to do segues, but I really, really, really couldn't care less. I couldn't get into the story. Now, that's me as a personal... I have spoken to a friend of mine who is big into the lore of Doom. I've spoken to two big fanatics. I've spoken to, and I'm going to go ahead and shout out Lane here. Lane was really upset about the direction and the feel and the overall thematical story beats. And he said he was just kind of bored, and he was already on chapter 11 by the time I spoke to him about this. And I had just finished the game when we spoke about this topic. And, he's somebody that follows the lore, loves the insides and outs of Doom, and he felt a little let down. Then I had another person who was the opposite of the spectrum, where he really, really, really enjoyed the lore portion of it, but he did feel that the flow of the game was not up to standards of what he liked from Doom. And that's kind of where I'm at right now, too. I didn't really mesh well with the story. I felt like it was teetering backwards. And it come to find out, it didn't really portray this really well outside of the marketing and talking. But if you weren't told ahead of time, like, most people were, this takes place before Doom 2016. So there's a big gap there. And for me, personally, I didn't keep up with the lore of Doom. I only just played them for fun. And I guess I'm the average consumer at this point, but the average player is going to go in here and feel like they've missed out on like 5 seasons worth of like content, and they're just like, well, who the hell is this guy? Who the fuck's that guy? What the fuck's going on? And that's genuinely what happened throughout the majority of my playthrough. I glossed over half of what was going on because I didn't care. It was pretty, abundant, normal stuff. Floaty dudes are keeping the Doomslayer under wrap on the leash, and eventually he breaks free, and then he does what he does best, and then he seeks revenge against them, and the dude's causing evil. Simple, I didn't need a whole story for it, and I felt that the direction that they went with the story, not in terms of where it went, but in terms of the amount of money went into producing it. Trying to spend all that money, that's expensive, so that would have been more work, more time consuming to be animating these, quite frankly, snooze fest story beats in favor of what could have potentially been either more modes or more gameplay or more, fine-tuning in that. For lore purists, I would assume that this is definitely really great and right up their alley if they're up to it. But then again, like I said, I spoke with Lane and somebody else, so it's 50-50. If you're heavy into the lore, it depends on the direction you were hoping that this goes into, I guess, at the end of the day. I got conflicting things with that as well. I've got several people who've been playing the games that are just, passing by fans as well. I've spoken with several other people regarding this one. We're going to go ahead and have a shout out to some other friends here, but a vast majority of people are all on the same page. Though they have fun with the guns, they don't feel as if the guns do all that much, certain guns, and then they kind of get shoehorned into using one specific weapon. Some people were saying, hey, you know what, I used the Skull Crusher a bunch. Others were saying they just strictly stuck to the super shotgun, or the shotgun in general, shotgun and the super shotgun. Others were saying that they were dicking around with the plasma machine gun, or one or the other. And it's really funny how some people would do machine gun and then never touch the Skull Crusher and the plasma caster, whereas some people would strictly stick to the plasma caster and the skull. So there, again, like the lore for this, where there are heavy purists and then people that are just not meshing with it. The same goes for the guns here, but instead of being 100% on board, you're kind of stuck using just one, whatever you like. And I guess that comes down to personal preference, but to my knowledge and my memory of what I remember playing, all the Doom games that I grew up with, Doom 1, 2, 64, Final Doom, and the 2016 reboot and Eternal, was that the guns were all kind of fun. Like, they're all kind of unique and fun, and like they all had their purposes, and some of them were more useful in certain situations than others. Shotgun up close, machine gun to keep things at bay. The creativity of the BFG, the creativity of the crossbow boat thing that they had in one of them. There's just a lot of cool stuff. And this one, I'm gonna be honest, unless I wrote some of these down, I definitely wouldn't have. I'm not gonna remember them in a couple of years, give or take. I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, I think there was one that shot the skull. The Skull Crusher one was the one I was using a lot of the time. I'm one of those weirdos, but that's because I was running around and doing stuff. But I will attribute that I did get to use and explore the weapons a little more so than everybody else, as I was going towards the achievement for upgrading them and having to do full mastery with all of them, which is easy enough. You just have to spend your tokens that you collect and the hearts and then the shards, and then you get it fully upgraded, and then you get like some generic, do this 100 times kind of thing, and it went by relatively fast because there's so many creatures on screen that it just like it happens like almost instantaneously. But I got a feel for all the weapons. So me personally, I enjoyed using most of the weapons. I probably didn't use the rocket launcher nearly as much, but that usually happens because it's the last weapon you unlock. So the rocket launcher portion of it and the grenade portion of it was just, I didn't really use it. I think another big problem I have with this one, and I don't hear a lot of people talking about it, but no Mick Gordon. For those not familiar with them, Mick Gordon is the audio engineer and producer for music. He's a music software engineer, and he has been behind some of the most amazing soundtracks that have been feature heavy in heavy metal games, and specifically Doom. And if you're a Killer Instinct fan, you know the Killer Instinct and that Spinal theme, and this Killer Instinct theme song in general. He's worked on quite a few games. If you look him up, you'll be surprised just how much of it is the hardcore crazy music. Well, he got dicked over a little bit with his credit for the vinyls for Doom Eternal, and he had a bit of a falling out with Bethesda, and he left Bethesda and ID Softworks as a commissioner. He's gone now. He did not work on Doom the Dark Ages, and I'm going to be honest, I feel it. The music is kind of lackluster. I don't think it hits as hard. I don't think it's nearly as good as I keep having to Doom Eternal and Doom 2016. It's not the same. It actually felt kind of quiet at times, especially in those big arena moments where you're kind of getting stuck in an area and the shields go up, and it's like you have no other choice but to fight in this big giant circle or square or undergrowth path or wherever it is you found yourself, and you were forced to just go head on with the horde. The music was just not there. And I found myself listening to music and podcasts and doing other things while I was running around doing the collectibles and stuff like that. I just don't feel like it worked as much in this one. I'm sure if you listen to it like subjugated on like YouTube, it sounds just fine. But like for some reason the audio was kind of piss poor. And then I did have a bit of a glitch where at least like 2 to 3 hours of my gameplay during my session. Around the first or second day I was playing this, my audio was popping in and out. So like there was a whole like 2-3 hour gap where I turned off the game and turned it back on like twice, and then I just gave up and I just kept playing the game. And for like 2 hours or so, it was just straight up no audio at all. Like we're talking no music, no gun sound effects, no demon sound effects, nothing, not a thing. And it wasn't until I finished that chapter that I was on, and I got a cutscene, did all the audio click in. So I guess that leads me into my next talking point is glitches. I guess this doesn't really apply, and if you're in the future watching this video, I guess this has been fixed. Shit gets patched all the time with games nowadays. It's not ideal, but at the time of me playing the game, I ran into a ton of glitches. Nothing that was too game breaking outside of that audio popping, but like there were times where like the challenges for the each chapter specific challenge, you could pin them to the left side of your screen as a way to keep track of what you were doing if you were trying to do those challenges for like side content, or for in my case for the achievement. I would have rare occurrences where it just would just flat out stop working. I couldn't pin anything, or I would pin something and it wouldn't track, or I'd pin something and it would I'd do it and then it would ask me to do it all over again. And then when I would load in and out of the game, it would be like, "Oh, all's good, sir. You accomplished it." I had that problem. I had a problem where I couldn't bring up my shield at all in a game all about using the shield to defend and offensive and use for puzzles and mobility. I couldn't use my shield. I had to turn off the game and turn it back on again. That happened to me once. And then several times throughout the middle of the game, around chapters 12 and 13, is where I was experiencing most of these, to be honest. Is when I also I was having this weird occurrence where every time I would swap weapons on the fly using the quick swap button instead of holding the weapon wheel down, it would make the sound effects as if I'm bringing up the new weapon, and then I could shoot it and I would see the bullet and or the chain shot or the skulls or whatever, and I could see it, but my gun was completely invisible. So I'm not too sure what that's all about. You had 5 years to work on this game, so that's kind of a little bit. That's a little ridiculous. Let's be honest. I'm sure it'll be fixed by the time this is all out, and it'll be fixed soon. I don't see it sticking around for too long, so it's not a priority. And why I just figured I'd talk about my experience at least. Speaking of my experience, though, I was able to pretty much do all the achievements in under 3 to 4 days. I am a bit of a crazy person when it comes to achievements, so I can't attest if that's good or bad. But it did, again, $80. It's not ideal that you're going through the game and you've played and done everything in under 3 to 4 days. And one of those days I was really busy doing other stuff. So I didn't exactly get to play for the extra days that I was given to. But shout out to Bethesda and ID Tech. I will say that the movement and mobility, I feel like the movement and mobility, and this is going to be a running theme for us here at Doom Eternal, much, much better. I like being able to dash in midair, being able to use the chain shot from the sawed-off shotgun to propel myself up in the air and move myself around and dodge out of the way and get, and being able to dash sideways, left, right, and omnial directionally. I felt that was really, really cool, and they completely ditched it in favor of playing defense and looking for your openings and playing defense and parrying and offensively attacking with the shield. As much as I like the idea of being a shield, and I the first thing I did was run around throwing it. The first upgrade I upgraded was being able to ricochet the shield like Captain America, so that just made me really happy. And then it wore off real quickly, and then I was like, oh, this is like the entire game is like this. I'm just playing defense the entire time. So I felt like it didn't feel as good as Doom Eternal and the movement. Also, we have to address another elephant in the room, that the glory kills being pretty much non-existent in this game. They were introduced in Doom 2016 as a means to melee kill people, and it would do a little animation of you doing grotesque, glorious, gory-ass kills. And now it's been replaced by either punching them, smacking them with the shield, or kicking them. And usually in that order, too. And then eventually you get a mace, and then you can add the mace to the mix-up. But I don't know, something about it. It may have been my gameplay experience, but it felt a little floaty to me. It didn't feel like it was actually making contact with the enemies. It just felt like it was happening in the in the player perspective, but in the foreground nothing was happening. It just looked weird. That may be a me thing. I'll get into some positives here. Let's do one more negative thing. I feel like they bait and switched us a bunch. They really marketed and talked a lot about this game being a medieval game. And although I really, really like, and I'll talk about this in the positive section of this, the medieval aspect, congratulations to the team that marketed this game. Congratulations to the people that hyped up this game. Congratulations to the creative director for, going out there and talking about how it's going to be in a medieval setting, saying that word so that way us goofy goblin gamers will be like, ooh, medieval. We're all parroting the same shit. Saying I was too. I'm sure you can go and check back on radio news radio, whatever the hell I'm still calling that show. And I was probably like, oh, medieval. Yeah, the medieval aspect is an absent father. Okay, it shows up. He says, hey, what's up, kiddo? It ruffled my fucking hair. And then he pissed off. There was no medieval aspect to this game. You got a mace and you got a fur coat in a game about being first-person shooter. I couldn't even fucking see the thing. They got you. They got us. Kudos to ID Tech. That was a bit of a bait and switch. I wasn't too pleased with that. If the medieval aspect was supposed to be in the room, it ain't in the room with us because that whole game, pretty nearly start to finish, pretty much just felt like more of the same thing. At some point, we're in 3 different realms throughout this game. We're in on Earth, or some. I'm assuming, I don't know. I could be wrong with the lore. Then you're in this. I'm gonna call it 2 things: Earth, Hell. And I'm going to call it Cthulhu, H.P. Lovecraft land area, whatever the fuck, a realm. That was cool. I like that part. Spoiler, I guess. Sorry. I won't spoil, the big thing. There's one big thing that happens in this game. It was kind of cool. I won't spoil that. Let's get into the positives, though. I know, again, I've been bashing this game, but these are just, my complaints and my thoughts and my feelings were why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling towards it and why I'm willing to give it a lower score. But the positives are simply this. It is better than most of the games that are out on the market right now in terms of genre. You are literally left with just Call of Duty nowadays, and, The Horde will go and play that game whatever the next one will be called, whenever that comes out. It is a very gory game, despite the fact that there are no glory kills. I will say there are technically kind of glory kills, but you have to run and sprint and jump at people in order for that to happen. And again, the whole point of this game, especially the harder the game is, or the difficulty you set, the less likely you're going to get that up and close with these guys. You're running around, keeping yourself alive most of the time. And those have really just ranged from, jumping at them with the shield spinning and sawing them in half or sideways, or jumping on them and then stomping on their face with his leg, and that's it. There aren't any other glory kills, but all the chunks of the enemies blowing up into pieces and seeing parts of them flinging off while you're shooting them, and just the overall gory, pure as per usual Doom aspect is still here, and it still looks good. A lot of people have said that the gunplay was 50-50. I personally thought it was all pretty good. I think I talked about this already with how the achievements kind of made me explore that a little bit more. I think some of the designs are pretty darn cool, though, for some of the enemies. It's almost like the only people that got the memo that they were going to be doing a medieval were the 2 people that made that chain gun and the bone crusher thing. And then, of course, the people who redesigned some of these enemy types. I really, really, really love the look of the Revenant, especially being cloaked up, and he has a cloak on, instead of just being a skeleton wearing a jetpack with shooting rockets out of his shoulders. Instead, it's this he's like a reaper or some sort. He looks really, really cool. Did not care for the look of the cacodemons, though. I miss the glowing little red with his glowing little green eye. I miss that look. Now we have this purple, stupid fucking brain floaty with his tongue like, oh, he's gonna lick my ass or something. I don't like that. I don't like that look of the cacodemon. So the cacodemon I don't like. The Reaper I liked. And then all the other enemies were pretty cool. I don't know what that enemy is that has like blades for hands that like would rush you down. And it kind of looked like a crustacean with a vagina or something as its face. That thing was pretty freaking weird. I did like that little serpent mix between a serpent and a gorilla that had like the chainsaw bow staff thing. That thing freaked me out. The arachnids, they look cool. The regular run-of-the-mill cacodemons didn't look all that great. I didn't like the hair. I remember Lane was telling me that he saw the hair and he automatically groaned. I didn't like it either. They look like old people. It's kind of weird. Outside of that, the graphics are stunning. ID Tech, the ID Tech engine is still going strong and looking pretty decent. Though there were a few odd details, like if you're rocking gun skins, and you're going to rock gun skins as you unlock them. Some of the up close skins, especially at the end of the game, it just felt like it was teetering and something was looking a little off. Even Tina walked by slowly and said, "Hey, something looks off with such and such," and I was like, "No, it looks good." And she was right. She's always right. I guess that's it right now. I will say, let's do some closing statements here. I don't want people's takeaway to be like, "Oh, this game's shit." If you got Game Pass, play it. It's free. If you have Xbox Game Pass, if you're a PlayStation user, you should probably dunk your head and then go get yourself an Xbox. Look at you, your head's wet. And if you're a purist and you're looking to collect this, buy it at a decent price. This game will probably drop in price in the next 4 to 5 months. It'll probably go on sale and then come it's going to be around Black Friday. You'll see the game hovering between $20 to $30. At that point, buy it. If you want to like complete your collection. I probably will never pick this up until I can find one for like $10 or $15, and then I'll be like, maybe. One of those like buy two get one for free kind of deals. And that's when I mop up games that I've beaten them, but I would like to have them as a physical collector's thing. Though, and then I hate to keep being negative here, but the physical editions of this game, it ain't even really worth collecting, because apparently that disc is just a gateway disc, and the disc only holds 80 megabytes of data that allows you to access the storefront to download the 77 gigabytes worth of data. So there's nothing on that disc. It's literally just a gate key, which is a little disheartening. Don't like that as a collector. My hopes for the series are simply this. As much as I enjoyed playing through another Doom game, I think Doom needs to take a little nappy nap. I think it's time for the Doomslayer to go into hiding and go into rest and do the deep slumber like he did when he went to sleep in 2005 and emerged in 2016. I think it is time for him to go to sleep for a decade and figure their shit out and figure out where they want to go next, or, wait for new advancements in Doom's, really re-release Doom 1 and 2, do some collections here and there to keep the brand alive. But I think it's time for ID Tech to start focusing on Quake. Maybe even go for maybe making a Heretic 3. Maybe. Who knows? We'll see. I don't think so. Hell, let's throw a real old one there. Let's make a Commander Keen. But do something else. I think it's time for them to do something else. Because if they do another game that's slightly mediocre, isn't 100%, in terms of like fluidity and the way that Doom Eternal and Doom 2016 worked, because if they had done that, it would have just been, oh look, there's more of the same thing, and we would have been complaining about how it's more Doom. So, and this one tried to switch things up by being defensive, and I don't think it worked. There are some people that really like it, though. I'm not going to bash those people. If they like it, then good for them, but I definitely don't see that a fourth one doing practically the exact same thing, doing anything different or like a new theme or faking a new theme or whatever they're gonna do. Point is, I think Doom needs to take a break. I think after this DLC, there will be one DLC, one singular campaign DLC. Ain't that great? I believe though that because of this cutting the corners and also the fact that some like aspects of the game are just kind of missing and there's just no multiplayer aspect or no post-secondary, or there's like a really small roadmap that just includes quite literally one singular standalone campaign and no skins, no planned little modes, none of this, has me thinking that they're working on something else simultaneously. Now this could go the direction, in all fairness, I think it's going to be Quake. I think we all know it's going to be Quake if they are going to work on something else. Who knows, maybe they are working on yet another Doom game, but I think my money is on a Quake. What would this be, Quake 5? Yeah? For a Quake spinoff? Who knows? But I leave that to you guys. Discuss in the comments. Let me know what you think. Do you think they should work on a new game? Do you think they should... I'm a crazy person and they should just keep working on Doom? Do you think Commander Keen is on the table? Let me know. Or maybe, and here's an idea, and I just thought about this one on the fly here. They might do the Machine Gun Games way and be working on something completely brand new. Like when Wolfenstein Youngblood came out and they were basically up against the wall and everyone was saying, okay, take a break from doing Wolfenstein games. We thought they were going to go back to one of their older properties as well. And it turns out they were working on an Indiana Jones game with Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. And that turned out really great. So maybe ID Tech will end up working on something completely different. Who knows? If it is an IP, what do you think would be good for Doom and these fast-paced shooter-dooders? Do you think you got any ideas? That'd be cool. That'd be a fun discussion to have. But that's about it. I'm going to have to give Doom the Dark Ages, and I hate to do this. As a Doom game, it's a 6 out of 10. I didn't, I think there's so much room for improvement. I feel like it's a step backwards from a lot of what we already played. And, and it has a lot of people I've talked to. And if you'll notice your friends list, pay attention to your friends list here. Because I've noticed a lot of people have beat the game already, and they are jumping back on Doom 2016, and they're going to run through Doom 2016 and then Doom Eternal. Or for those who've already been through their Doom 2016 circuit in preparation of Doom the Dark Ages, you're going to jump on Doom Eternal. But I see an abundance of people who have already finished the game, and or are looking to play the game, and they're playing Doom 2016. So that's pretty bad that, the new game's out, you're finished, you're done, you want more, but you can't, so you go back to the past. Shitty outlook. But yeah, that'll do it. It's a 6 out of 10 for as a Doom game. In terms of just game, I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. I'll be nice. As a game, it's a 7 out of 10. Well, let me know if that's too harsh. Let me know what y'all thought. Do you feel the same way? Am I a fucking crazy person? Should Commander Keen be back? Who knows? But I'm Ethan. I've been your host. I hope you enjoyed the video. Go ahead, like, subscribe, do the usual. And we'll see you on the next episode. Probably going to be a radio news. But look forward to next coming Friday when Tina and I review Lilo and Stitch, which will be out over the holiday. What is it? It's a holiday coming up. The 23rd. This long weekend, if you will. Memorial Day, my goodness. So this Memorial Day weekend. Anyways, have a great day. Have a great rest of your day. Hopefully you agree with this. If you don't agree with this, I would love to hear about it. Let's have some positive talks and let's set up a dialogue. Well, until then, we'll see you in the next video. Peace.